and then within 4 months we were stood round her bed, you know, saying goodbye to her while I was sniffing a line. You know, it didn't stop because she died. If anything, it spiraled more. Yeah, it's horrible.
Welcome to From Rock Bottom, the podcast where we explore real stories of struggle, survival and strength. Each weekly episode features honest conversations with people who faced mental health battles, addiction, trauma and life's darkest moments, and found a way to rise again. A quick content warning: some of the topics we discuss may be distressing or triggering. We talk openly about mental health, addiction and other sensitive issues. Please listen with care, and if you need to, take a break or reach out for support. You're not alone, and this space is here to remind you of that.
Boom, and we are on. Today I'm joined by Koa. Now he's here to share his story. A victim of sexual abuse, at a young age addicted to alcohol. Addiction to alcohol tends to lead on to drugs, and addiction to drugs tends to lead to a life of crime. He's here today to share his story, how he turned it all around. Koa, how are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you very much, and thank you for having me.
No, I appreciate you travelling this way, mate.
That's all right.
Alright, Koa, just like everyone, you know the drill.
Yeah.
Take me back to the start.
So the start, I had quite a good upbringing. My mum was disabled, and I was brought up around Paralympic champions, and a place called Gutman Sports Centre is the best upbringing you can imagine. Went to Buckingham Palace. I met some amazing people from the Falkland Islands. So Simon, who had like something like over 100 surgeries. Tammy Gray sitting at the table. To jumping slightly forward, foster care. Both my parents ended up in hospital. My dad had a breakdown, tried to take his own life. And this is where my spiral came from.
So, before you get into that, so perfect upbringing.
It was lovely, yeah.
Exposed to a lot of positive stuff, positive influences.
For the first 6-7 years.
And then, I presume your mum's health deteriorated.
Massively.
Your dad couldn't cope with that, or for whatever reasons he couldn't cope mentally. You're then left to fend for yourself. Off to foster care you go.
Yeah.
What age was you at this point?
About 7.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was all our decisions. I've got 2 other brothers, and it was our decision to go into foster care, not go to our cousins and auntie's house, uncle's house. So when I took that sort of approach, being young, we thought we were doing the right thing. It's fantastic, as Kit and Mark were, they're our foster parents. It was the boys who lived across the road. So I was, like I say, 8, 9, possibly 10 years old maximum. The boy across the road was 16. And that's where my sexual abuse sort of started. So it wasn't any family relatives, none of this stuff. It was just I was a young lad in a new environment, and this guy I thought was my friend, and it started off in his bedroom. And that for me was my first sort of secret. I didn't know how to tell anybody, didn't know how to open up. I thought it was normal to go around his house, knock on his door, go upstairs. He always closed his door. It was very seedy. But I just thought it was the norm. You know, we were just doing, it was mainly doing things to him, and it was nothing like reciprocating. I didn't, it was like a rejection as well. I remember it so well, so vivid, like going up his stairs. Here's his sister's door, here's his door in the bathroom here, and it's always like to the same room. This went on for weeks, but I was still trying to be a school kid, still trying to be friends with my friends from school, because now I live closer to them. But my parents were in hospital, my mum's recovering from having an operation on her stomach. My little brother didn't take well to the foster parents, who's, I think it's about 3-4 years old, he's about 5 years younger than me. So, you know, he was crying a lot, so then I started running away. My older brother's always been a strong character. I couldn't tell him. I was literally like I was stuck. So yeah, I started playing up at school. And then it was from that point on, I was then, when we went home after about 4 to 6 months, I started in drinking. And I think that's partly where my drinking started coming in, because I couldn't understand what's happening to me. But this happened for like 2 years afterwards. It wasn't like I could escape from it. And then it was after he was done with me, I was then passed on to another boy, who then it was like in the fields, in like hedges and stuff. And it was like a back and forth. It was only 10 years ago, I finally said to him, I don't know why I used to check in. It was like a weird thing. I always had this, even though I was in my 30s, and this happened when I was really, really young. Always like to check in with them and hi, how are you? How's life done? And it's like, why have I even said to them, you absolute fucking animals? Like, do you understand what you did to me as a kid? And they didn't. And I think that's where my spiral of alcohol, 14, started drinking, started walking to school with a special brew and iron brew, special brew and super tens. Jesus, you know, the teachers knew something was up, but they couldn't pinpoint it was alcohol. I must have stunk of it, surely.
Yeah.
I mean, what kid walks to school with a beer? But I suppose no one.
The last thing you'd expect as well.
Yeah, and that was it for me. Like, that was my spiral, because every person I hung around with, maybe 10 years old, 14 years old, they were 16 or in their 20s. So, yeah, I never had anyone my age that I really connected with.
Yeah.
So it's just taken advantage of me.
So, we'll rewind this back.
Yeah.
Why did you choose to go into foster care instead of staying with family?
Looking back on it, I think it's because my uncle and his wife, my auntie, I think had so much on at the time. We had social services there. They gave us the option, which path would you like to go down? And they went through a divorce a little while after. So I think we picked up, even at that age, that there was something going on there.
Yeah.
And we were like, let's not go there. So like I said, it's my brother's decision. And my parents went, yeah, cool. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with Kit and Mark, they're kids. It's just unfortunate. I was a young, vulnerable kid who lived next to somebody who wanted to play with another kid.
So you chose foster care.
Yeah.
Foster parents are fine.
Absolutely,
great, doing a great job.
Yeah.
How did you then start knocking about with this 16-year-old as a 10-year-old yourself?
So from my first moment, I thought about it so many times over the years. So where in Quarrendon, there's Quarrendon School, and there's this road, I can never remember what it's called, there's a block of flats at the end, and they were building a park, and there was a digger there, and I think that I was pissing around near the digger, and because he lived opposite, it was one of those things we see each other, being parks being built, diggers and machinery, it's a cool thing. I think that's how it sort of like put us together. And then it was me being invited into the house, because I didn't want to be necessarily always in the foster parents' house, you know what I mean? I didn't, even though they were nice, it wasn't our home. And it was like I wanted to stay out. I didn't want to go back. Even when I say at 6 o'clock, you had to be in. I was out till 7 o'clock. And I was rebellious. And I think that's how it ended up me being in that situation.
With this lads, obviously then start getting invited to his. How soon did the abuse start?
I think it was a gradual thing. So we were at Kit and Mark's for about 4 to 6 months. And it was like halfway into that, it started happening. It wasn't immediate. Because at first, Kit and Mark wouldn't let us out, like go and play in the street unless it was the weekend. And I remember that very, very well, because they kept on saying, just play in the front garden, and I was trying to go more, further away. So I think it was more or less into the middle of the 4 to 6 months. It wasn't straight away, and it was a gradual thing with him as well. Like we'd sit in his room, play up like a Commodore, whatever it was back then. The first
Commodore
Sega.
64.
That's it. Yeah, I mean that's how young. I mean how many years ago this was. So it wasn't like, this is what you're going to do. It's forced on me like straight away. It was like a gradual. Like I said, it was very seedy. Yeah.
That's what I'm like. Obviously, I've never been in that position, and I think there's more people out there who've been in it and have then opened up about it. So it's just like I've always wondered, how does it start? Like, is it 0 to 100 on? Do you know what I mean? When he does do it, is it 0 to 100 then, or is it a gradual thing? Is it talking somebody into it, or playing dares, that kind of thing?
I'm definitely going to say it's more of the games, or have you done this? Have you done that? If I show you mine, I'll show you yours.
Yeah.
And I didn't see anything wrong with it. I was young. But one with the other guy, they both knew each other. One of them actually is gay. He's definitely 100% come out gay. The one that first started fondling with me, if you want, he's married and got kids and stuff. So it was a different thing with him. With the gay guy, he knew what he wanted, and it was very much, oh, I've seen you be with him. Did you know me and him have done this? And it was like quite quick. It took me by surprise. We were playing on there's an all-weather pitch there, and there's this hedge, and it's like a ball shape. And he instantly beelined like he'd been there before, he'd done it before. And there was like a branch that laid down, and he used to make me sit on the branch, and he was like playing with himself, touching himself, and then his anal, you know, but only did it to me, and then, you know, you're telling me I had to get on my knees and stuff. And that was rapid with him. But the other guy, it was a little bit different. It was
So the other guy groomed you,
yeah,
whereas the second lad more abused you.
Yeah. It was they knew each other. They'd been there and they'd done stuff together as kids. And then it was like, oh, I know you've been with him, so it's like I can do this now as well. And that's how I've seen it all through my life. Yeah.
How long did it last for with the first lad?
A couple of months. I wouldn't even say a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. The second guy, 4 or 5 years, maybe longer. I ended up attacking him. Yeah.
At what point did you realise like this is wrong?
One day I was with my girlfriend and we got together when I was about 13, and I was late for something. And in Aylesbury there used to be an old cinema, and there's a corner where Domino's now is. And I remember seeing him on the underpass. He's telling me to get to McDonald's, and he was saying he obviously wanted to do stuff to me in the toilets or something. But he was like doing it a bit seedy and a bit like that. But I'd been away from him for quite a while, and that's when I was just like vulnerable. But I said yes because I sort of a little bit. So I've got learning difficulties and stuff. I'm dyslexic and things. So I'd go along with people quite quickly and quite easy, and trusted him. And it's like I say, like a weird hold over me. So I started going there, and that's when I whacked him in the toilet, because it was like, you're going to do this, and closed the thing. And I felt, it was the horriblest thing. But I had to meet my girlfriend and I was late. So it took me away from that. And I just had this, I was like, you horrible bastard. Like, how can dare you? And I fucking just hit him. And that was it. I walked away. But the communication stayed for years, like another 20 years after. It's just it's the weirdest relationship that I was like, why do I keep messaging this guy? Like 2-3 years would go past. Hi mate, how are you? What have you been up to? And he would send me pictures of his dick, or him and his boyfriend sleeping with each other, and say, does this turn you on? And I was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Like, leave me alone. It was relentless. Yeah, until I physically blocked him out of my life 10 years ago.
What was the age difference between you two?
4, 5, maybe 6 years.
So when you was 13,
yeah,
he was 18.
Yeah, he was like 16 to 18 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So predatory behaviour.
Oh yeah. Now look at it. Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't look at it like it was. I don't put myself down about it, because it took me so long to talk about it. I dealt with it. It's not like I sit here and think, oh no, I'm a victim, or shit, this has happened to me, and oh, did that really happen? Did I have someone's dick in my mouth? And all that. I just think, I moved on. Like, it doesn't matter. But there's that nibble where it's still, I class myself as bi. I then got with a guy years later because I felt comfortable. And it was a situation where I was an adult, but I was also a little bit drunk, and it was a bit of fun. Ended up kissing him. I was like, yeah, let's do this again. Because I felt comfortable. But if I'm completely honest, would I have done that if I hadn't been in that situation? Mm-hmm. So it's like, it's created a new version of me, but I'm not going to be, oh no, poor me. It turned out all right.
Yeah. Well, in the end anyway.
In the end it did, yeah.
Yeah.
I've never told my mum, she's obviously not here anymore. I've never told my dad, never told my nan, she's my best friend, she's 93 now. So only people who know is my 2 last partners, because I started talking about in the last 2-3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, with dealing with that, you thought it was all okay. Obviously, you're the younger lad at this point, going along with it, doing what the older lads say.
Yeah.
Obviously, you want friends as well at the same time. Mm-hmm. And then you start drinking.
Yeah.
Why?
So again, some of the other lads that all lived in that same area, still in the same estate, they were, again, 5, 6, 7, 8 years older. And it was just a thing that everyone did: smoked weed and had a few beers, stolen motorbikes. That was your Friday and Saturday night out. And then because I was one of those kids who was really fucking annoying, and I knew I was. I was like, oh, let me have a bit of that. Started off smoking cigarettes, you know, like the video man used to come round when we were kids, and then the video man flicked his fag, and I went and sneaked it and found it, and then someone sticked, you know, I was very young, smoked it, oh, it's not for me. And then it moved on to seeing my dad at barbecues and things, drinking. I always wanted to do it. And then, it's the older lads, they were able to get alcohol at 14, 15, 16. Yeah. So I just followed the lead, and it wasn't done maliciously. It wasn't like, oh, let's get him pissed and take the piss out of him. It wasn't none of that stuff. It was just to be with the lads, you know.
Yeah.
But that soon spiraled really, really quick.
How does that go from you just fitting in, having a drink with the boys, to walking to school drinking on your own?
I don't know. When I look back on it now, so there'll be so many people I know watch this. And I used to have a location called The Tree when I lived next to Ellesby Prison. So we've gone from that estate now. We've just moved away because obviously what's happened to my dad, and there's really bad places in a mental institute now. So my mum's had to find a new place for us to live, and it's more safer. And there's this place called The Tree, and there's over 50 of us that used to meet up from all different backgrounds, races and cultures and all this other stuff. It was amazing. But unfortunately, a lot of them just smoked weed, a lot of them just drunk, and we'd hide our beers. Well, they hid their beers, it's nothing to do with me. I used to maybe buy a bit of 5 deal of hash, hash, but they hid their beers, and I knew where they were, so they couldn't take them home because obviously they were only 14, 15, 16 themselves. And I had to walk past that tree to get to school, so I used to then go take a little cheeky sip because if they didn't let me the night before, I knew their bottle of 40-40 or whatever it was called was hidden, so I'd be like drinking it on the way to school, and on the way back I'd quickly go back again. Yeah. So that is what it was. I was just taking their alcohol. They weren't giving it to me, or I wasn't there to get it from a shop. I was just stealing their alcohol because I knew it's hidden in the bush.
Yeah, I'll get that. I'll get the cheekiness of it. But I can't wrap my head around why. Like, why at age 13? Like, do you want to walk to school getting absolutely bladdered?
Do you know what? I think I was one of those kids who like to show off. It's probably still very much like it now. Like, look at me. I'm going to say it's that because I've got to take some sort of responsibility. I can't blame other people for saying I can't sit here and go, it was the bigger boys. It's always their fault. No. They hid it, I took it, and I wanted people to see me with a beer. I think that's what it was. Yeah.
You just wanted to be young, drunk in school and be the cool kid.
Exactly right, yeah. Yeah, and I did.
How was you... Like at this time as well, you also been sexually abused.
Yeah.
Like, did you not think like, you got all these other mates who are out drinking, doing drugs, stealing motorbikes and all that. Like, these ain't wanting to pull the trousers down in front of me and all that. So why is this person?
Right. So yes. So some of my friendships did fall apart because of this. There's a guy we went to. I can't remember where it was. We went away camping, and a lot of us, when we were doing coke, I was up into like my late teens, early 20s, and I remember laying there, and we were face to face, and it's a 6-man tent, but there was like little cubicles, so it's like a big one, and I remember laying there, and I went to go kiss him, and he was like, whoa, but that wasn't the only time it happened. So I was picking up on things that I thought was normal, that wasn't normal. And they were like, no, you can't do that. Like, what the fuck? Did you just try and kiss me? And I was like, I don't know, maybe I'm just really pissed or really high. It doesn't matter. And that's what we put it down to. But that happened quite often. So I didn't know that that's not what I should be doing.
Yeah.
So it's very mixed for me. And I think I was quite held back on how I should be around people. But with girls, I was dating girls. So, I was flirting with them and making moves on them, kissing them. And I wasn't getting rejected, but guys were like, what the fuck are you doing, man? Why did you just try and kiss me? And several times, some of my mates, especially a gay guy in the town, one like sort of picked up, and I was like, I'm a little bit flamboyant, you could say sort of like, I pick up that vibe. And he kept on messaging me, but I couldn't tell my friends that I was in that way inclined. So they ended up going around his house and kicking his door at 3 o'clock in the morning. But I felt so bad, but I couldn't tell my friends. But at the same time, they're like, nah, but it's you. Like, I've got to fucking protect him. I was only skinny. So yeah, it was awkward because I didn't know how to act. I didn't know that was not normal. But now we're in that day and age where you can say to people, I'm gay, I'm bi.
Yeah.
There's no judgment.
I suppose your earliest experience with friends is sexualised.
Yeah.
So then when you get in other friends, you're going to go into thinking that's what friends do.
Yeah. I thought that's what you did. 100%.
Yeah.
Touching them, they touched me. Yeah, I didn't do this with girls. That was the thing. Like girls reached out if that's what it was. With lads, I thought they liked me. That was the
enough. Yeah.
Yeah. Very backwards.
I suppose at that age you wouldn't have had an understanding of what sexuality is, especially if that's all you've been exposed to.
Yeah, no, I didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very confusing.
It sounds it, to be honest.
It really fucking was. Yeah.
So with the drinking in school.
Yeah.
How was your behaviour in school at this point as well?
Terrible. Absolutely terrible. I didn't want to be there. So when I was in year 6 going to year 7, one of the teachers actually threatened to leave if I was put in his class because he didn't want me there. And there was a fantastic teacher called Mr. Sherrard, and he was my year 6 teacher. and he was absolutely fantastic with me. Sort of knew how to put me in my place, but at the same time, if I wanted to lash out and be loud and rude and obnoxious, whatever the word is, he sort of allowed it to an extent and then reined me in, and there was boundaries. But this other teacher, Mr. Lake, he ended up like, if he gets put in here, I'm leaving. He did not like me, and I didn't like him. And that for me was sort of like another rejection, because it was told to me before I got into the class that this teacher doesn't like you, but there's only other 2 teachers that could take me on. So it's like a 50-50.
Yeah.
And then I was just rebellious from year 8. I didn't want to be anywhere near school. Tried to leave. I don't think I fit in. I really struggled with just being around other kids. Like from year 4 to year 7, a friend of mine's dad was dying from cancer. So we took a lot of break times off, and we just sat together in like a little cloakroom next to the head teacher's office. And that went on for like 2 years. So I didn't really have much of like an interaction with kids. And I was always very nervous and anxious. I was always anxious, and it comes from probably being, around those other kids at the beginning. But I didn't want to be near people, so it's very much like I was a recluse, always held back. But then if I came forward, I was then very argumentative or violent towards people, push people, fuck off, leave me alone. So it's very mixed in my head what I wanted to do, but I knew I didn't want to be at school.
Yeah. So did you end up finishing school?
Yeah, eventually.
Yeah. So did your drinking get progressively worse through school? So
when I got into year 8 and 9, it was completely different. I had to travel quite a distance to school. It was like 20 miles to a place called Aylesbury to Wendover, and it was a school that they specifically had things to meet my needs. So I'm dyslexic and got learning difficulties and stuff. So I had an individual teacher in a separate classroom, as well as my school teacher, but a teacher would come into the class and sit next to me. So it was a little bit different. I had like a different reaction to that. It was quite cool. And I remember, because obviously the travel and stuff back and forth on a train, that I'd got new friends, and I wasn't necessarily hanging around with the drinkers and the smokers. So there was a few years that went past, I didn't have any of that. So I became sober.
Yeah.
And then, boom, I hit 16, left school. What else there to do except for smoking weed, drink, do drugs? So I did loads of pills. And then the acid sneaked in. I became a drug dealer by the time I was 17.
So, before we get to that, so like your period of school, even as a early teenager, you've been sexually abused still.
Yeah.
Then you put a stop to that.
Yeah.
You got girlfriends.
Mm-hmm.
You sobered up. You're settling in school. You got new friends.
Yeah.
You kind of half changed your ways.
Yes, I did. Yeah.
And then when you're 16, you left. Boredom hits again.
Yeah.
And then straight away you go back to what you know.
Yeah.
Drugs.
Yeah.
And booze.
Yeah.
Where's the progression with the drugs? Do you know what I mean? Is it just copying other people, just trying it to fit in?
Trying to fit in.
Yeah,
100%. That's what every time I've done a chair or sat in NACA and all these things, it's 100% I was trying to fit in. I didn't know my place. Even with the outbursts that I was having, it's because I didn't know who I was. And I'm uncomfortable with that now, but so many kids don't know who they are until they sort of leave and go, shit, is that what I was doing? Or was that what was happening? So yeah, I didn't know who I was for a whole part of my teens. No idea. Didn't find me.
Would you say you're just trying to please others?
Oh, massive people pleaser.
Yeah.
Yeah, something I'm studying at the moment, what people pleasing and avoidance means. And I did a lot of that as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of that going into my teens, yeah.
Yeah, can see.
Yeah.
Just because obviously that's obviously linked to the sexual abuse.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They're making you feel good because you're pleasing them, because you're just being used.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you just wanting that feeling again, why ain't everybody else making me feel good?
Mm-hmm.
But they're just normal people who just see you as a friend, not looking to use you.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? A normal 16-year-old lad's ain't going to say, oh, you make me feel really good and all this. They ain't going to do that, are they? Yeah.
You grow up a little bit and, you have your own individual personalities by that point, didn't you?
Yeah.
No one was preying on me, It's much different experience going to secondary school,
Yeah. And then you start spiralling your behaviour, selling drugs. Tell me about that.
So because I was in a school that was in a village, a lot of the kids at school did loads of drugs. Like even on the exam days, people doing acid and fucking MDMA and pills and stuff. And I managed to avoid that. Smoking weed, absolutely fine, whatever. Who didn't smoke weed when they were going through school? But it was just dibbing and dabbing. My parents really pushed us into a lot of sports, downhill racing, go-karting and things like that. So I was really like pulled away from that shit. But the second, obviously, I leave school, what's the first thing they do? Oh, are you going to go to college or are you going to get a job? I was like, yeah, cool. Let's go to college. That then opened up a doorway of other bigger guys who I didn't know, but in the same area, who had drugs. And it was like, oh, this is fantastic. Yeah, this is for me. I want to try all these drugs. And that's what I went out and set to do for the next 10 years, was to go and try every drug under the sun. It was my plan to do that. Grew dreadlocks, walked around with a massive spliff everywhere, and enjoyed life. Yeah, I didn't go get a job. I just walked around getting high and selling drugs.
Yeah, just basically doing what you can just to get as high as possible at all times.
100%. That's exactly what it was. Yeah.
What was that lifestyle choice?
So I thought it was pretty cool. There's a guy at the end of my two guys at the end of my road had dreadlocks. One of them was like, a white buster, lived on a boat, had like nice dogs, solved a big issue. Then we had the other guy who was like an acid head, but also had dreadlocks and smoked loads of weed. And we always crossed paths because obviously I was buying my weed off of them. I lived in a tiny little cul-de-sac of 40 houses, one way in, one way out. So I was walking past these people for 10 years of my life, and the more I got to know, the more weed I was picking up off them. Then it was like, oh, do you want some trips? Do you want this? So it was just a progression.
Yeah.
But from weed, so alcohol to weed to then LSD, to pills, and then up the chain we went, and I enjoyed it. Like festivals blew my mind. We went to raves. Oh, it was the life that I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
I didn't mind it whatsoever.
Did you ever find yourself like doing drugs and stuff just on your own, like heavy drugs at that age?
Smoking weed, yeah, not heavy drugs.
Yeah.
Nah, not at all. So I was 18 when I did my first line. So, and that was, I couldn't afford it. I didn't have a job. I didn't even know I was selling drugs, but that was paying for my habit.
Yeah.
I wasn't paying for my lifestyle. There was no lifestyle there then. Yeah, I wasn't, running home sniffing a line or taking pills. It was Friday, Saturday, Sundays. And then gradually over a good couple of years,
yeah,
it turned out there was 5 or 6 of us that met up every Friday, Saturday, and if one of us didn't have money, they would buy the pills, or if they didn't have, I'd always have the weed. And that's how it just materialised.
Yeah. Partying on the weekends.
Yeah.
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 Because I'm always interested in the different people's progressions onto drugs. Like mine, it was party drugs, to then I'm doing it on my own.
Oh, really? Was it
Yeah.
quick though?
Yeah.
Oh, it was? Wow.
Yeah.
What, like over a year, 2 years? Or
I'd say within 4 or 5 months I was then doing drugs on my own.
wow.
From a group to then on my own.
And what
Yeah.
took you to that though? What?
I think because I started doing drugs when I was in London. My first wife's from London.
Yeah.
So when I was down there, they introduced me to fucking cocaine and all that as part of their lives, and I was doing it. And I was coming back up to Warsaw, and it's like, I'm the only one doing it. So they'd be like, I'd just be doing it on my own because none of them was on there.
I see. But if people were with you in this area, would you have gone out and done it with them instead of sitting at home?
But if I was going out, some of my boys were drinking, we'd go out drinking on the Fridays and Saturdays. I'll go out sniffing, but then I'd also get home and I'll carry on sniffing on my own. Yeah.
Wow. That's quick.
Yeah.
That is really quick. I mean, I'm surprised at that.
Yeah.
You don't hear that story when
It's just, I was always one of them, like, if I'm going out, I'm going to drink the most. If I'm smoking, I'm going to smoke the most. And if I'm sniffing, I'm going to sniff the most.
Wow.
I was always that person. I'll always go to everything to the extremes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
That is crazy. So how much coke were you sniffing?
Oh.
As much as you could get?
What I could afford at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could, I'll go out and do like 2-3 grams a night when I was like 21. When I, like, do you know what I mean? I was onto it rapid as well, yeah.
Wow, man.
Yeah, from when I started doing it, it's just straight away, I'm going to do the most. Yeah.
Jesus.
Because that's like, usually when people are introduced to drugs, it's a slow progression.
Yeah.
Mine was just 0 to 100. And I'll go out and I'll do 2-3 grams a night on my own.
So is that your personality anyway? So if you were to go to the gym, you're going to get big because you want to put the biggest weights when you want to lift the most. Is that who you are?
I'm constantly challenging myself.
Yeah.
Whether it's good traits or bad traits, you know what I mean? If it comes to drinking, I always forget, like, obviously, like, I used to like my weed. I'd go to Amsterdam, fucking, yeah. I'd smoke so much weed and I would be, at one point I sat in silence for 2 hours. Felt like I was in silence for about 15 minutes. Turned out I was in silence for 2 hours and sat there. And then I'd get a spliff out and I'd start smoking again, and the people I was with were like, "Why are you smoking?
Why?
Like, you are fucked up here. Why are you smoking again?" I'd be like, "Because look how fucked I am now. Like, I'm gonna go up a level. It's an experiment to me. Like, I'm gonna find out these levels."
Jesus.
It's just what I was always like.
I mean, that's hanging on the edge. I mean, if you are doing that with coke, I'm supposed to have a heart attack, a stroke, or passed out, face down.
I used to do everything. So like, my night would start at home, pre-drinks, coke, weed. I'm doing all three. I don't know if I was coming or going. And then I'd go out. I'd be sniffing while I'm out drinking still. When I'm out, I'll drink like a bottle of spirit and have like 10, 12, 15 beers on top of it, and I'm sniffing along with it. And then, you go in pub toilets, you got like the cotton on machines and the Viagra. I'll get the Viagra, I'll be popping Viagra.
What?
Zero effect on me, but I'd get a small buzz from me. So I'll just be popping Viagra just to get a buzz from me.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And then I'd go home after the clubs. I'd probably go back with my one mate, Brian, his name was. Brian Adams as well, of all names.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that was his name.
So, were you an addict then?
I'd say so,
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I'd go home and I'd smoke 120 quid's worth of weed in the night, like for the rest of the night. I'd wake up the next day and we'd do the whole thing again. But we'd do it for the day instead of the night.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and then my drinking got so bad. The picture's coming out soon, actually. Dug the picture out the other night.
Okay.
My drinking was so bad, like in my early 20s. Put myself in hospital with pancreatitis. I was in there for a while. Come out, I was in a wheelchair. Because my pancreas was so expanded, it's pushing on my other organs. It was very uncomfortable for me to walk, so I was in a wheelchair. Within 24 hours, the boys come and got me from my home in my wheelchair and took me to the pub. And I found a picture of me on the way to the pub in my wheelchair with the boys. Yeah, that's just what I was like. I didn't want to miss out.
So did you have FOMO then? The fear of missing out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Wanted to be with the lads?
Yeah, couldn't miss out. Like, I didn't want to miss the story. I was the story. Do you know what I mean? I didn't want to miss out.
I get that.
Yeah.
It's similar.
So it's a fucking... Yeah, I was always the worst for everything. Extreme for everything. Good or bad,
Yeah.
I was extreme. If I put myself to something, I'll commit 110%. Whether that's fucking my body up or getting better in my life, I'm always 110%. I can't help it.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But that's my snippet anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, back to you.
No, honestly, I love that because
Yeah.
there's not many people you can have that interaction with that actually gets you. Like mine wasn't that early to hear. Like I said, I've sat in some rooms and it's a gradual thing to just go from here. Oh, I like that. Whack. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
No wonder it put you off because surely when you actually come around, you're like, what the fuck have I been doing for the last few years? Surely.
Yeah.
Fucking
Yeah, and then I had kids, and it was like, I'm changing my life immediately. Like, kids come first, and I ain't touched coke fucking 8 years.
And that's the same thing because you thrown yourself into parenthood, right?
Yeah.
So just like you threw yourself into the drugs, you've gone, oh, I've got this now, I'm throwing myself in.
Yeah, I used to want to be the best drinker I could be, the best fucking cokehead I could be, and then I want to be the best dad I can be.
Fantastic, I love that.
And that works for me, it works. Yeah.
That's crazy, mate. Honestly, that's fucking mind blowing. I'm surprised you've not had a heart attack.
Yeah.
Like, the amount of people that I've sat with who have done continuous amounts, got some major health issues, and considering the size of you and stuff that you've done, like you've had many health issues.
Oh yeah, like I used to be like fucking 12 stone wet through.
Yeah.
Whereas now I'm 16 stone. Yeah, but I used to be 12 stone wet through, and it's yeah.
So that's where coke took me, skinny.
Yeah.
And it's not a very nice feeling, is it, when you wake up, because the coke gives you that short lift, and then it's the next day for about 3-4 days. It's that looking in the mirror, you can see your cheeks come in, and you look at your fucking stomach, and there's not much there. You can see your hip bones coming. That's horrible, isn't it? It's that for me was when I woke up and was like, I look like shit. I'm 10 stone. What have I done?
Yeah. I'd always been quite a skinny child and teenager, and I was always a fussy eater growing up.
Okay.
My mum was never the best fucking cook. She tried, but unless she wanted food or tasted nothing but pure salt. Yeah, it was never good. So I was always a fussy eater from my childhood, so I was always quite slim anyway, so it was nothing new to me. It's just, I'd wake up, I'd feel like shit, and I'd be like straight back on it. Yeah, that was my spiral for a few years.
So did you hit anything more than coke?
Nah, I never, to me there's always a hierarchy of drugs. You know, they say coke drugs like a party drug, people who've got a bit of money behind them, whereas if you're fucking about with crack and heroin, that's for the homeless lads and that's for the crackheads.
Yeah.
The smackheads.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas people do go down that avenue just out of curiosity and then they're hooked.
Yeah, that was me.
Yeah.
Yeah, curiosity, come out of jail.
Mhm.
So I'll try some of that brown stuff.
Yeah.
It's COVID, why not?
Yeah. Whenever, when better, eh?
Exactly, there's nothing else to do. The world shut down, let's just get high. Yeah.
But yeah, back to you.
Come on.
Yeah. So, you've decided to take your life as a drugs connoisseur.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Go from there.
Yeah. So, 19, 20 years old, I was introduced to coke, did my first line, and I was like Superman. I was actually given a hammer to go and hit someone. So they gave me a line, pulled out my eyebrow bar, and then this guy who just robbed me a few days prior walked past. So we chased him with a hammer, and then that was my introduction to extreme violence and drugs. So from then forward, the same guys, not always meeting up every weekend. You know, it's a massive. There was months without the coke, but always smoking the weed. Yeah, it's just then festivals, V Festival, and whatever legal party that was going on. Some of my friends were friends with the guys from Leviticus or Guy and Glenn. I can't remember what their legal rave used to be called, but it's well known down in Luton. They're from Luton. They used to have like a farm and stuff like that, and those big underground parties. So I was introduced to those. So it was literally my gateway. Just went from smoking weed, obviously drinking, smoking weed, doing a few pills. Then we're doing acid, and I started selling acid. And I was getting MDMA, ayahuasca, San Pedro, and it's like all these like hallucinogenic like cactuses, mushrooms, cannabis march was back in London back then. So yeah, it was just this. But over years, we're talking like 18 to 24. It was my gateway. It wasn't as rapid as yours. It was a gradual thing.
Yeah.
But it was, how many festivals can I go to this year? How many free parties can I go to? How many actual parties are there I can organise and with my mates? And then by the time you thought about it, you're 4 years in, and I'm like, shit, I'm a drug dealer. I was selling a key of weed at the time when I was 16, 17, someone gave me 10 grand. So I had loads of weed, so much weed that I walked into my girlfriend's house one day after I stopped smoking weed, and there was something about this smell in her room, and I was opening bags of like half bars of weed that I'd forgotten about for months. That's how much fucking gear was always around us. So it was just being this little shit, but also being around people who could just get me anything I wanted, and it was good prices. And that's my escalation with drugs. I just didn't know when to stop. Amsterdam is fantastic. Sitting there and down, eating Thai mushrooms, smoking a spliff, doing a massive line of coke off a fucking taxi driver that we met. We had a whale of a time. It just never stopped. And I was like, what country can we go to now? What countries can we do next year? What festival? And that was it for me. I was like, yeah, I lived the dreadlock sort of like out a little bit, like this is my life and I plan to be this. That was it.
Yeah. Just the, what's the word? Nomad.
Yeah. Nomad, 100% I was, just wanted to live free, do what I wanted to do, when I wanted to do it, and the more drugs we sold, the more drugs I could take. Yeah, that's how it became.
Was there no point you got to like 24 and you're looking around and there's people your age, younger even as well, like got houses, wife, kids, think, fuck me, I want a bit of that.
100% I did. So my older brother was quite educated, went to university, and he came back, and I just started a business, and I was meant to get married, and then we were going to go travelling, and instead I said, no, let's not do that. I quit my job. My mum became terminally ill, and I quit my job working with her, and this window cleaner said, while you're in limbo, do you fancy coming to work for me for a couple of weeks until you fuck off around the world? I was like, yeah, of course. But the thing is, I went and worked for him, and I enjoyed it so much I set my own window cleaning company, took on a business partner, never went travelling, and in 2 years, even though I was a raging cokehead, I had a successful business, and I was stuck in that sort of rut of I'm earning good money, relationship broke down, my mum's terminally ill, so I was just constantly bouncing off the drugs, bouncing off my friends, and it was going nowhere. In the end I lost everything. I became homeless in the end. And that was when I was 27.
How did you end up losing it all?
Coke.
Yeah.
Plain simple. The amount of times, by that time I'd been kidnapped. I think it was once. Someone tried to stab me up at least twice, like full on fights, like holes in me because of it. You know, people attacking my brother because of me. Like I said, looked in a flat, beaten for about 12 hours, drugged up on it. Ecstasy tablets. They gave me loads of tablets and I was off my face, pickaxe handles, smashing me in the fucking head and all sorts. So yeah, that then became my defence, I suppose, like my survival mode. It was, I didn't know what to do, where to turn. Stayed at my uncle's house. He protected me, paid off some drug dealers and stuff, because it wasn't owed them money. It's because I retaliated, and that for me was my paranoia, but my mental health was deteriorating, my self-worth was down here, but at the same time I want to show an appearance that I can look after myself. I've got a business, my mum's done. Oh, that was too much. I couldn't snap out, I couldn't take responsibility, couldn't have a conversation, so I avoided everything. So instead I carried on sniffing. My business partner's trying to keep the business afloat. And then it just all started crashing bit by bit until the day that I went from having 10-15 grand in my bank account to now I'm in £2,000-3,000 debt in the space of a few years. And obviously now the violence definitely well and truly started.
How could you was kidnapped?
So someone that I knew, I think again partly in his head there was a story, and it was when we were smashed. Something happened somewhere, and I don't actually know the full story to why it actually started with me getting kidnapped, but I escalated it and basically put a bit of a hit on this guy, and we were all in the same circle. So even though I tried to keep it quiet, one lad went and said, "Oh, this guy's going to do this to you." So my mates all lived together above the showboat in Ellsby on this high street. So I went in there with my mate Dan, none of you aware like of what was happening. Took these fucking big smiley faced pills, taken to this room of the guy who I knew I was going to be having an issue with in private. Next thing you know, that door closed. Dan was told he wasn't allowed to come in, and that was it. I was like pinned down, was fucking like a pickaxe handle smashed into my chest, knife to my throat. In the end, it got so boring. I was actually hitting them, and this guy was like to let him out. Like I said, I'd pay whatever I had to pay. So I don't really know why the actual part of it, but again, I was so high. It could be anything. It could just be like two people having this most stupidest fucking argument, but that escalated to the point where I retaliated and getting someone to do something to him, and they found out and they got me first. Yeah, that was that.
Play the game with stupid broses.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it goes.
Yeah, I'm not gutted about it. We've spoken about it so many times and we laugh about it now, all of us.
Yeah.
But it got that out of hand that somebody else then intervened and one of them got attacked, which was quite bad because he was trying to help me. So just basically games you win silly prizes. Yeah.
Did your family not sign in for you at this point and say, "What the fuck are you doing?"
My older brother, I think, really tried. He saw into my world a tiny bit. My younger brother's too young. My dad, being bipolar, manic depressive, he would just fling off the rails. He'd try and run people over, and he knew I had a baseball bat, and occasionally go under the stairs, get a baseball bat, start running around the street with it. So we all just tried to stay shit away from him because he caused more headaches than what it was worth. And then my poor mum, she's disabled, so she used to drive after me sometimes, running down the road with a baseball bat or a knuckle duster or fucking like a kosh and stuff, driving up the curb and fucking trying to shut us off. And yeah, it's horrible for her because I can't change that. She died. I can't go back and explain stuff to her. We did on her deathbed. She asked me several things if certain things had happened, and we knew it's the end. So she just said, "Please be honest with me." And no one was around in the house that heard our last conversation. But it needed to be said. Yeah, she wanted to hear some of the stuff that had happened, especially when second time I was kidnapped. I looked in the car, opened the window, being punched by the passenger, and then the fucking guy here. I jumped out 30 miles an hour, but they kept my phone, and they were phoning my house. There's the only number there that could relate back to me. Mm-hmm. So I'd hidden. I only over an 8 for coke as well. It was pathetic. But they rang my house phone, and they were telling my mum they were going to fuck her in the arse, and they were going to come around the house, smash the house up. So a few hours later, my mum driven past the end of the road and see one of our mates who lived at the end of the road saying, "Have you seen him? Where is he? Someone's got his phone." They're threatening. Next thing I know, there's like loads of people out looking for me. I'm safe. I'm fucking sniffed up in someone's house and saying, "Have you heard what they've been saying to your mum down the phone?" She wanted to hear what happened. And then she said, "I know that you guys went and did something. What happened?" So I sat with them, sort of cleared the air with that, stabbed someone. I sort of opened up a bit about that as well. So yeah, she just said, please. So her last words were, please go and be my little soldier. And at the time, I just signed up to join the Marines. So the day I was meant to carry a coffin was the day I told I couldn't get in the Marines as well. So that was a bit of a kick in the face because I really I was training to be a Marine.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's very mixed when it comes to all of that. But it was like morphine for mum, line for me. Morphine for mum, line for me. I was looking after her for 6 hours on the nights and stuff. And we had Macmillan in at one point because obviously it got really bad. But yeah, morphine for her. Like when I run out of coke, there's morphine for me, morphine for her. Yeah.
Did you never feel bad doing that? Like that's your mum's last days. There was.
I haven't really thought about it too much because I spiraled for 10 years. My addiction became fucking out of control after that. Like unbelievable. I was found half hanging out of a car, rushed into hospital. Had crashes, bashed some people up really, really bad. I was in and out of prison, the police station continuously. The police were just like, we know why you're crashing. We don't want to be arresting you. They used to sit in the cell and talk to me and be like, we want to let you out, but you've got to sort your shit out. Even had a judge ask my mum to come in while she's on the breathalyzer, saying, this is going to be the last chance that we're going to give him. And she said, please, I'm not going to get to say goodbye to my son if you send him down. So yeah, she was in there on a wheelchair. So yeah, all that carried a lot of guilt for many, many years. It's only been 3 years ago that I've managed to pull myself out and come to peace with that part of my life. Yeah.
I suppose all addicts are selfish, though, aren't they?
Real fucking selfish.
Yeah.
Horrible. Self-destruct. We believe the bullshit we want to believe because we believe the paranoia, but then we don't see the damage we're doing to ourselves, the stories we tell ourselves when we're laid in bed staring at the ceiling when we want to come down, and then we're rejecting people, feel like we're being rejected. It becomes like this bullshit story that you've made up, but you don't know how to get out of it.
Yeah.
Because you go back to use again. So it's continuous. This is why I say to so many addicts, if you want to sort your mental health out, you have to sort your addiction out. Walk away from that addiction and your mental health will improve because it's the bullshit you tell yourself. And it does. Even, me and you could have a line now and be chatting shit to each other, but I'll go away remembering something that you've said that might impact on me in a negative way. I want that to turn into a fucking dramatic story.
Yeah.
And we do it, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Yeah, so how do you take it when your mum passed?
Horrible. So I tried my best to be there as much as I could. She planned her own funeral.
You're still an addict at this point?
Yeah. Full raging addict, mate. Okay. Yeah, I wasn't hiding any of it. She was picking me up from raves, a few months prior to, her really becoming quite ill. She asked me to try and get it under control, but I just couldn't. As much as I was trying to, I spiraled. Yeah, so she planned her own funeral. We did the funeral in the house, and then within 4 months, we all stood round her bed, saying goodbye to her, while I was sniffing a line. It didn't stop because she died. If anything, it spiraled more. Yeah, it's horrible.
Yeah. So your mum dies.
Yeah.
I presume you then obviously just get on it even more to numb it.
Yeah. So because I was trained to be in the Marines, I stopped for that. I was running. I can run really, really well. I was taking up training. People were teaching me stuff. I had a mentor that was already a Marine. So yeah, even hiding out in woods, and I bought an MBC suit, which is like a nuclear suit. I had a thing for army gear. So I'd go off and hide in the woods and stuff and start, in my own little way, teaching myself, if you like, but it stopped me from using.
Yeah.
So I had a window of opportunity, but then to be told that, you're not getting in because of some of the shit that I'd done through court, attacking police officers. I battered one quite badly, and he said, we don't want that in here. You're an unpredictable person. So, yeah, he told me to fuck off.
Yeah, a bad representative.
That's it. Yeah, I was gutted. I literally cried when I left. I cried. Yeah, so I was like, this is my only way out. Yeah.
Is that why you wanted to join the Marines? Just a fresh start, escape?
Yeah, get to travel the world. My dream was never to be an addict. My dream was never to be stuck in a tiny little town called Aylesbury around the people that I watched, killing people, kidnapping people, selling drugs, robbing businesses, attacking me and doing... No, that was never my dream. I don't think anyone wakes up and goes, I know what I'm going to do as a 7-year-old. I'm going to do all these things. So yeah, when I had that opportunity and I looked into what a Marine was, I was blown away. I was like, this is amazing. You get to see the world, but you get to represent, you know, the beret, the uniform, what your oath stands for. I went into great detail and I was like, I can be someone else. I can do this. So I did, yeah, I started training.
Yeah. So then, as you said, the day of the funeral, you was also told, no, you're not welcome.
Yeah.
And what did that do to you?
Oh, I remember I was so broke. Yeah, I remember ringing up a drug dealer, and by this point, there was no more ticking. I'd run out of money. My business had gone down, and I'd got people chasing me. And again, that's partly where the violence again it spiraled, because these people only give you so much. Okay, your mum's died. We're really, really sorry, but you owe us 600 quid. And there's only so many people that kept on saying, we know you really well, we knew your mum, really sorry to hear that, I'll give you a couple more weeks. And yeah, I started then going out robbing drug dealers. So I don't think I'd robbed a drug dealer up until that point, for drugs and money. And then that's where, again, another escalation.
Yeah, because that's a dangerous game. Drug dealers, obviously, they're not law abiding, and the worst thing you can do is fuck with a drug dealer's money.
So because I'd been training, I took training really, really seriously, and because I'd had this mentor, I'd been given an opportunity. Now, he taught me quite a lot of stuff, and it's something that I've never actually spoken about. So there's only a few people who know the story about the 2P. Heads means you've got to go and do whatever you tell yourself you're going to go and do, and tails basically means on the lower end, walk away or scare them or intimidate them. But if it's heads, you go and smash them up, go and smash their house up, attack in front of their family. It has to be horrific or basically nothing to non-existent. And he gave me a balaclava, and I still got it to today. And because I then started learning how to hide and hunt, and hiding hedges and mole around in leaves and stuff like that, when I started going out robbing drug dealers, I wasn't doing it like, oh, today I'm going to go rob a drug dealer, tomorrow, or I need drugs now, I'm going to do it now. Now, this was well planned. I took a lot of time, and I took a lot of pride in robbing these people and watching them for days and days, and then that then turned into me then attacking people that did me wrong. So if somebody did anything to my brother, 6 months, 8 months, a year later, I'd then catch him because I've been following him for a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was my secret. Not a lot of people saw. Only a very handful saw me doing it and planning it. And go, where are you going now? Girlfriends, why are you going out? Come back covered in blood. And they're like, who the fuck have you hit? Oh, some twat from 2 years ago. Like, what the fuck? Like, how? What? You know? And I planned it. And I took pride. One guy, he took 5 years to get him, but I fucking got him. Yeah. And that was because of that whole trauma of my mum. I didn't know how to deal with it, so I lashed out, attacked people. Yeah, it's horrible.
So instead of, what you'd imagine of somebody who robs drug dealers by kicking in the front door, and you was none of that, you was following them, planning it.
Yeah, so one of them, it was fantastic. I had a window cleaning business. I obviously started all my equipment, and I tried to reset up the business, and I actually got into this guy's house, was quoting up his house, watching him deliberately say, oh, I'll do a couple of jobs for you, this, that and the other. And the night before, I went in with my mate, who was my co-D, in it. He ended up dropping out because he panicked, because he said, I reckon this guy's going to fuck us up, he's going to hurt us. Opened the window, put it on a latch a little bit, set up a different job in the area just down the road so they could see my car coming in on PR and stuff. And I planned this for 6 months with my co-D and how it's going to happen, what's this and the other. I knew exactly where the safe was. And I went in the next day. People had seen, obviously, me walking around, seen the car. And yeah, I got his safe, got over 10 grand out of that job. Yeah, 6 months. And I do stuff at a specific time of year as well. It's none of this summer shit. It's all winter, on a specific time of winter as well.
Yeah, why?
Yeah. So everything gets dark at 3:30. So obviously the movement in darkness, you can't really necessarily see stuff. People are still at work, coming home. You know, there's opportunities that you can prepare stuff, especially if you're going to whack someone on their way home from work and it can be on their driveway or moving into their garden, coming out of work, whatever. Could be at a petrol station. You've got opportunities to watch people in the dark. They don't see you. Mm-hmm. You don't just follow somebody in your car and think you're going to go and follow them and going to go bash them on their door. You need to find out where they work. If you don't know where they live, park. If I know when your birthday is, I know roughly people are going to turn up here, and you see movements of what people do. You have to pick up all those movements of how people move around. And it's people that tap my brother. I couldn't get to them for 6 months, but I knew what pub they drunk in. So I used to sit outside that pub every Friday and Saturday watching their movements. And then one day a police officer actually saw me going in. I was scarf up, hoodie up, and it's fucking snowing. And he said my real name as well. I was right next to them, but I was in disguise. They couldn't see me, but I've been watching them for weeks and from this window, Chicago's. And then finally they got into this taxi and my car was just round the corner. Fucking ran, boom. Yeah, 6 months now I know where you live, you little fucker.
Yeah.
And it took me another few more months for me to get access to bashing him, but I didn't do it in the end. Somebody else did. He had an issue with somebody else who was a lot bigger and harder than I was. And I just passed their details on and they got bashed. So, so 6 months of my time, but they got a bigger kick than what I was going to give them. So I got credit for that.
So in the loss of your mom, you was just hell bent on revenge and stuck in addiction.
Oh, massively. Yeah. I'd go out deliberately just to watch people. Police knew it as well. Police used to chase me just for the sake of chasing and see who could catch me. It was a game.
How come your brother was attacked? Was that because of you?
Yeah, he was always looking up to us, and he made a potato gun one night and he was in a park and he shot it and hit someone, and then 8 of them turned on him like weeks and weeks later. But he always used to say, oh, my brother this, my brother that, like, stupid childish shit that you do. And just so happened 6 of them jumped him and kicked the fuck out of him one night in the skate park. So that then had to escalate, unfortunately. And that's one of the things my mum witnessed. She saw him come home, he got stamped on so much he had a Nike tick on his face. My older brother never seen him so upset, and my older brother's so placid, such a lovely guy, very, very gentle, and he went, get the fuck in the car and get the bat. Alright, that's what I'm down for this shit, yeah. And we did, we went around houses, put doors through, windows through. Yeah, we caught every single one of them, but unfortunately that comes with a retaliation, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It wasn't me they were coming for. They were coming for my younger brother every time, and because I was robbing drug dealers, they were seeing my little brother, and they looked similar to each other. So he unfortunately got attacked a few times, thinking it was me in the dark. Yeah.
You got to feel guilty about that.
Oh, massively. I don't talk to my brother no more. Neither of them, but my younger one. Yeah, it's horrific. But I went over and above more for him than what he fucking deserved. Yeah, he got himself into, he was selling half bars of powder, and drug dealers taking the piss out of him, so I had to step in. I got raided and moved into Milton Keynes, hid. I was told to hide, and then I had a phone call to say your brother's in a really, really bad place, and he's got people that now he's working for, he needs your help. We can't intervene because, well, we're friends with them, but you need to do something. So I came back for him, and it's probably the most dangerous thing I've ever done. Yeah, stepping in. Yeah, it got messy. Yeah, real messy.
And now that your brothers don't talk to you just because of the past.
Yeah. I've lost them. Yeah, it's gutted. Yeah, my little brother, he's a lovely guy. Yeah, he was amazing. But unfortunately for him to move forward, we couldn't be in connection with each other.
Yeah. Not even though you're out of it all and.
No, I think the trauma for him.
Yeah.
Too much. He got into drugs because of me. And then things that happened to him while he was on drugs. People constantly chasing him, threatening him, jumping him, kidnapping him. Yeah, it got messy for him. Bless him. He's street smart, but he wasn't that street smart, otherwise he wouldn't be fucking in those situations. But I didn't mind. I was calm as chips. If it come to me going and getting something to calm a situation down, I'd be there. Like one instance, me and my friend were just playing a computer game, for example. Got a phone call. Bruv, this guy's just got into the house. I was like, where are you? And he said the guy Dean and this guy called Pi. And then he's like, he's in the house, he's downstairs, he's got a blade, I'm upstairs, what do I do? And he was like, chill the fuck out, man. I'm playing the PlayStation, whatever we were doing. And then got off the phone, I was like, I think my brother's in trouble. He's like, where is this? It wasn't far away, and I didn't even know where it was. And he went, it's not far, I just found the corner. He's like, he's crying on the phone. And he's like, really? I went, yeah, carry on playing. phone kept on ringing, and I was thinking, oh, it must be bad. So I said, all right, cool. My mate said, I'm not getting fucking involved in this. Like, I can't. So I've got 3 kids, got a missus and stuff. She'd been away. So I was like, cool. Will you come with me and wait outside? And I'll go in there. Turn up and fucking, yeah, he's waiting outside. I've gone into the door and this guy's just opened the door and just fucking holding a knife straight to my stomach. And I'm like, boys, are you alright? What's going on? Where's my brother? So he's like, he's upstairs. Bro, calm down, man. What's that? In the end, I was talking to this guy and I was like, will someone give this geezer a spliff? He got so sort of knocked sideways that I didn't give a shit what he was holding. He put his knife on the side, gave him a spliff, and I said, no, you might need that, and put it back in his hand. These lot going, what the fuck are you giving him back, looking at me? He's going, nah, like this fucking clown, I ain't fucking intimidated by this prick. Well, my brother was so shook, like he literally just, what the fuck is happening? And that was his first time of having a weapon pulled on him, or being told that you are going to be giving me XXX. Outside, I didn't realise 2 geezers tried to get me balaclavas. By the time I was finished with him, talking to him like we are now, nothing aggressive and trying to calm the situation down. He went out the back door with no gear. But then that put another target on us. Yeah. It was just fucking relentless. But I loved that. When he got kidnapped, they phoned me to tell me how to give him a bar of powder. And I was like, you are? I was like, do you know who you're talking to? It's like, how dare you ring me up? Put the phone down, phone rang again. Saturday with my missus, we're on bed, like just watching TV on a Sunday or something. Rung up again. He's going, everything is there, blah, blah, blah. Who the fuck do you think you're talking to? Don't you be ringing me up? I heard my brother's voice in the background. So, right, what do you want? Like, how much? What is it? I said, you ain't getting shit. I said, keep hitting my brother. I said, I'm down for this. My poor missus going, what is happening? I said, nothing. Just sat there, waited. So give him 5 more minutes. Phone rang again. So I'm not moved off the end of the bed, still watching TV, but just going, what can I do? How can I get there? Where is he? All this stuff's going through my head, but calm, chilled. So she was like, what is happening? I said, my brother's been kidnapped and they want X amount of money. Now he just walked in with half a bar, so I just gave him half a bar or a bar. I didn't basically have hardly anything. His mate, who just got dropped off at the same thing, he got pulled in one door, the other guy got basically shoved and told to fuck off. So now I've got a phone call from him saying where the address is. So now I've got this other phone call and I told him, stop being fucking rude to me. There's no need to talk to me like I'm a fucking idiot. But I'm so calm. Bosh. So I'll be there in a second because now I know where they are. Opened up the safe and yeah, we turned up. See my little brother jump out the fucking window, bottom flat window. Ambulance was outside because somebody had an accident in the flat next to it. I'm bowling up with a baseball bat and with a metal bar with another geezer. My missus is driving, 2 ambulance people. You can imagine the scene, right? Then we get into a police chase. So the police came bowling down through Southport. I'm in a police chase for 10 minutes. So pow, pow, pow. Just get rid of the weapons. Houses, police come through our doors and that. Yeah, so that was fun because that guy meant business. It was someone, my boss had set me up, knowing that my brother's an easy target to get to me. And that's where the spiral of me getting kidnapped again and me hiding fucking machetes, hammers, kicked everyone out of my house, a 4-bedroom house, jacuzzi, fucking lovely big setup. Get the fuck out, all of you, they're coming for me tonight. I'm gonna be on my own, I'm gonna fucking chop them up. Every doorway, on the stairs, there's a hammer, there's an axe, there's a serrated knife, machete. I didn't give a fuck. I told them, come, the front door's open, the back door's open, whichever way you want to come in, send them a message. Yeah. And I sat there, I didn't care, I'd given up. But my little brother went into town and partied. Yeah. Yeah, seriously. Yeah, he went into town with his mate and partied. Yeah, well, I sat there waiting to be potentially chopped up. Yeah, and it wasn't. When I look back on it, I don't think that was one of my best moments because we went to the guy's house the next day because he hadn't come to mine, so I went to his. Knocked on his door. I just literally just dropped the blade straight out of my fucking sleeve as he opened the door. His face dropped like you wouldn't believe. But there's 3 of them the night before, and it was just me on his doorstep with a fucking machete. That door got slammed shut. Yeah, and we came to an agreement that they were never going to do anything to me again, and I wasn't going to retaliate how that happened because these guys aren't very nice people, and I knew they were going to catch up with me, and we shook hands. Yeah, I was in jail with him, and he was like, I had no problem with you, but you do know who set you up, and I didn't realise it was my boss. My boss had actually set me up with them mobbing me. So, yeah. Cunt this drug world, isn't it?
Yeah, the game you play, eh?
Yeah.
So you've done Addiction, violence.
Yeah.
Talk to me about prison. How did you end up there?
Oh, massive. I was really wealthy, and I'd just been travelling Africa, been to Ibiza, Thailand, and I tried to get off drugs. I went and basically booked myself into a rehab, and my little brother's like, no, don't do it. Like, I'm not going to fucking sign this much. He had quite a lot of my money, and he's like, no, you're not doing it. He's like, fuck off to Ibiza, Thailand. So I went to Thailand, and I was there for quite a while. So I came home. I took a phone with me because I wasn't able to do things on my own. I was very insecure, so I took actually a phone with me to Thailand. So when I came back, I was like, oh, I'm going to tackle my addiction. And whatever reason, it spiraled. So I went to Africa with somebody else I just met. Literally just like, do you fancy, like, built on the car, and we fucked off to Africa 3-4 weeks later. But each time I come back, it was more dramas. I was walking around pubs with a pool cue looking for somebody who owed me $1,000. It's just $1,000, isn't it? Why I put fucking call outs online, I'm going to come smash you up, come and meet me, let's have a field fight, and fisting. It got out of control. And then social services got involved because my little brother was in fear of his life because of me. And he phoned the police got them turned up to my house, searching my house. Obviously people talking about firearm, which wasn't the best of things. I tried to have someone shot a few months prior. So I was being chased always in the car. So yeah, I out of control. I was with my son at a lake feeding the ducks and stuff, and I was off my face, and my ex phoned the police and I was trying to kidnap him or some fucking bullshit, whatever that she did. And then I was in custody, so I tried to take my own life that evening. So it's just a massive psychosis, and what I was believing wasn't really what's going on in the world. Now I look back at it, but obviously I'm in hospital, overdose, police cuffed me to my bed. I just said, if you release me, I'm going to go kill someone. So bang, fucking banged up in prison for threats to kill. Yeah. And that was my first time in jail, and I loved it. Absolutely fucking loved it. It felt free. I was dancing in the sweatbox going in. And they're like, how many times you been here, love? I said, oh, it's my first time. She was like, you are mad. Like, what is happening? Yeah, I was on 24-hour cell watch in the hospital wing with the warden, the head poncho, coming in every day, having a meeting with me with a psychiatrist to check that I was okay in the head. And I had that for 7 days, 24-hour cell watch.
Yeah, constant watch.
Yeah, constant watch, because they were just that worried about me. I was enjoying it. I was cracking jokes. I'd come out from the lake, so I was all wet, and they called me the swamp monster, and I was like, now I was looking for Loch Ness and Nessie and stuff, and they're like, you're not normal.
How could you try to top yourself and stuff at that point?
So in the morning, I was going through psychosis. I phoned the pastor up. My dad was doing Bible studies, and I was talking to the vicar, the pastor, whatever he was, and then it all just got on top of me. Lots of different things from here, there, and everywhere. All these dramas. Couldn't deal with it, and I just had enough. Like I said, I was feeding the ducks 1 minute, phoning my friend the next minute saying, can you come get him? I'm fucking losing my marbles. I don't know what I'm doing. Next thing you know, I fucking boshed loads of pills and jumped in the lake. It was just that erratic. Yeah.
I think that's a deterioration of mental health mixed in with drugs and a lifestyle. Yeah. Just all catching up with you.
Yeah. Didn't know where to turn. When you start talking to people about buying guns, and then somebody starts talking to other people about it, you sort of look over your shoulder. Who's talking about me? Why? How do they know? Because only the person I was ordering it off should fucking know. But then my missus then knew about it. She was like really worried, going, what the hell? Then police would turn up to the house, searching the house, making sure I was in, seeing what cars, several different cars, renting them out to different drug dealers. So they were looking for one particular car. And then they found my gun range fucking paper with all the holes in it. So they were like, oh, so you do shoot then? And there's fucking different types of rounds in there. Then there was a baseball bat. Oh, they were like, we were worried about you. And but they were coming around to check on me as a welfare, not to arrest me.
Yeah.
But I didn't see it that. I was thinking, shit, man, someone's setting me up. Walked into a pub with half a pool cue to bash this guy up, and he wasn't even in there. What the fuck? And even like half the pub were like, is that guy all right? Or was this just a wind up?
Yeah. And
I was raging. Yeah, I just didn't know who I was. It was absolute psychosis. And that's with coke. People say you can't get psychosis off coke. You fucking can. Honestly, the voices were crazy in my head. Yeah, it's mental.
So drugs affect everyone differently,
Yeah.
to be fair. So
Yeah.
Like, just like weed, you get some people who whitey every time they smoke and they get the paranoia, and some people just sit there and monk, and then other people who are absolutely functioning.
Yeah.
They need weed to function, yeah. So it's, yeah. So how many prison sentences did you do? 3.
Yeah. All very short. So the threats to kill, I was in there 5.5, 6 months, something like that. They dropped it down from a 3 because they said obviously there was intent, but because I was already banged up, I was actually in cuffs when I said, if you release me, I'm going to fucking go kill someone. And obviously all the prior to that 6 months build up, they're like, yeah, we believe that you probably would.
Yeah.
At the moment, you know, with stupid shit that you're doing, 100%. So they banged me up, and the judge just said if it was in circumstances there was a child in the area, or you know it was in like a dwelling and all this stuff, we would be giving you 3.5 years. But the fact that you're already in custody, but in a hospital, they gave me the less they fucking could. Yeah. And that was I think it was 14.5 months, and I served 5.5 for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about the sentences after that?
One after that. So again, I was then a crack user. Lots of things going wrong. I was doing some stuff, like I said to you, with the police. So I was helping women out who were being sexually abused, used to prostitution, or they were getting themselves into debt. So I started doing some of this stuff with them. Just somebody that I was dating was interfering a lot, and because I was recording certain things and certain conversations, we found out she's cheating, basically. And I don't want to go into too much of it because I don't think it's fair, but I kicked them out. And it was a great conversation like me and you. It was like 6 months, in the making of this, flirting back and forth. And it was even down to the point of, should we go and do like a couples thing online and, you know, meet up with couples, blah, blah. Well, I was like, yeah, I'm all down for this. I'm okay with it. I'm not a jealous guy. So I was like, yeah. And I kept on noticing they're going off. But I'm dyslexic, but they'd sunk my phone to their laptop. So I started getting his emails and stuff. So I'm now crack psychosis as well. And this is what everyone will say, oh, it's just psychosis. Well, I've spoke to the guy since. It's bullshit. It was fucking psychosis. But I was going on this spiral again, but on crack and heroin. I just got getting off the heroin. But my crack use was out of control, like 100, 150 quid a day, if not 200 quid a day, every day for about 6 months. So I was like, fuck. So I ended up taking this person's watch. Well, they had some of my money. They made out I didn't have any money. Well, I definitely had some money. It was in a different location. So I ended up being arrested for theft of a watch. But I wasn't originally arrested for that. And this is the confusion where so many people say it was theft. It wasn't. The 909 call was a false allegation to get the police to the address. It was made up allegations that I was smashing the flat up and I was attacking them. Well, that got kicked out of the police station. It was absolute bollocks. But unfortunately, we've been told that you've taken something that shouldn't belong to you. Did you? I said, yeah, of course I did, yeah. And X, Y, and Z. So unfortunately, that's classed as theft. But that's not what I went to prison for. So there's this whole confusion. I'd like to get this fucking clear. I rammed a man off the road on a motorway 6 months prior in my car on my way to work. So I'm banging up on my way to work, and he flips me off, and I just came out of suspended sentence from doing something completely different, and I fucking smashed him off the road into the ditch. See you later, bye bye. Yeah, they were looking for me for that. So they combined all this together, and I got, I think it was 7 weeks in prison because I breached my suspended sentence.
Yeah.
So that was it.
Yeah.
Like, so it was like I don't mean to laugh because obviously somebody's out there saying they're a victim, but the whole backstory to going to jail, everyone thinks it's theft. It isn't. It's a combined of several fucking things.
And you just got your recalled.
It was a breach. It was
breaching license conditions.
So it was suspended sentence for 2 years. So they gave me 5 months, but I only served like 7 of it because it was early release.
Yeah.
So they came to my cell and said, "You're leaving?" No, I'm not. No, I said, I'm staying here. So unfortunately, you've been put forward. I said, fuck off. I said, I'm happy where I was. It's in DHL. A guy called Andy, and I told him to fuck off. My probation officer then got on the phone saying, we heard that you're not happy because I don't have an address to go to. The reason I was in prison is because I said, if you put any bail conditions on me and I can't go to my address because they put in this allegation, I'm fucking going home. I've got a key. I'm going there. So that's part of the reason why they couldn't bail me. So I had to go into jail on remand. So I said, no, I've got nowhere to go. I'm happy to stay here. Man, my wing, there was like, are you mad? Or what are you doing? Like, get out. 2 weeks later, 21st of December, you are being released. It's only a few years ago. So this is 5 years after my first sentence. So I've been out of trouble for 5 years, and they came to my sense. Unfortunately, you have to get out because we don't do it over bank holiday, and we can only release you on a Thursday. We don't release you Friday, Saturdays anymore because obviously you've got nowhere to go and everything else. And it's Christmas and New Year. Boom! I got kicked out on that date. So in prison, by the prison officers and by other prisoners, they assisted me on how to clear my name, but more than likely it's going to backfire. So this allegation has been put forward. I got out. What do? Knowing what I can do, getting a bit of intel. So I went home. Even though I was told I wasn't allowed to. 3 months I went home, carried on being a partner that I didn't want to be, carried on being this for everyone else, and was just, they need money, put it for their bank account. They did this, I needed that. So I was just then playing into them what they needed to clear my name.
Yeah.
Went in and handed myself in 3 months later and said, oh, I've been around this person, the one that made all these allegations. They put an impact statement in, remember, in the first case. That was fucking shocking and it was disgusting. I then, the day of my arrest, let them know. So they've now raided my house because they're looking for all this evidence. We've already moved it. This now has already been set up, by the way. We'd actually scripted how this is all going to go. I'm not that intelligent, so other people have shown me how to do stuff. So they've gone and done the Section 18 where it was on the flat, trying to find all this stuff, the mobile phones, laptops, and SD card and all this other stuff. Now I'm in prison because I handed myself in. You do know you're looking at prison sentences, so I absolutely, but I wasn't going to allow that person to say that I done X, 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 X. So here goes with the evidence. I waited for them to give their statement, hid for 2 days or so, I had a warrant, waited. They said, no, they hadn't been with me, all this amazing stuff. Boom, handed myself in. While I was in jail, got somebody then to email my barrister all the evidence off the SD card that I'd been building up for 3 months. So I was looking at probably about a year, and I even said to the judge, do you mind on this occasion to give me a lengthy sentence because I got out and started smoking crack again and I wasn't stable. I was really like all over the place. I'd rather be in jail for a little sentence, like a bit of bird, because it's helping me. And the last sentence I got out and I was clean for a couple of weeks, but then I spiraled straight away. And he said, I respect what you're saying, blah, blah. Their prosecution stood up no more than 3 minutes. My barrister just stood up and said, look, we won't have this. And by that time, the judge had now been given the evidence, and it was late, and he accepted it, thank God. And he read through it, and he literally was like, we're going to chuck all this crap out about, you know, what is being put forward and blah, blah. They give me 2 weeks in prison, so it's instant release. I was like, no. Saying to the judge, no. Like, keep me here for a year. Like, I need routine, I need consistency. Yes. I need fucking help with my addiction. And he said, no. He said, we will put a plan in place for you to do regular drugs tests and go to a drug clinic and you know go in there every week and talk to a fucking counsellor. Oh, that was the biggest kick in my fucking balls, if I'm honest. So two tiny little sentences back to back, and it's pathetic. So yeah, that's my crazy criminal thing that I was done for. Look at all the things that I got away with. Yeah. 2 attempted murders, and you know, bashed some people up quite badly, and I've been watched for that stuff. But yeah, I'm in prison for stuff that's petty. Yeah. Crazy, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. How did you end up on the crack and heroin?
So, just before my second sentence, it was just before COVID, 2018, I can even remember it. Went out of coke, but somebody said they had a bit of crack. And he said, you fancy trying it? Put it on a tin, smoked it. And I was like, oh, that was alright. But it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad to the point where I was like, well, this is, when you smoke, it's a, you're there, wow, ting. It was very much, oh, this is quite nice, this is different. Didn't get no paranoid on the curtain twitching, waiting for the people in the white coats to turn up and all that weird shit that goes in your head when you smoke crack. It was fantastic. So I went into crack thinking, oh, this is like coke. And also it's a raging cocaine. Yeah. So overnight, with the crack, as similar to you and your coke story, I went from buying 1 or 2 stones, and then I was buying 100 quid's worth, and then I knew how to wash up, so I was like, fuck it, get an 8th. So yeah, it spiraled, man. And then heroin.
How come you decided to jump on the heroin?
Got kicked out, is in Clark's house in Oxford, and there was no drugs. It was 2 o'clock in the morning, we were meant to be locked in our rooms. COVID was, peak, we had to go out, and someone said, do you fancy a little pipe of this? And I was like a bit like that off the fucking crack that we just smoked a few hours ago, and he said this will calm you down. So yeah, I smoked that and it was quite nice, it calmed me down. So then I started smoking crack and then heroin a lot later on, and then I hadn't touched it for about a year, and then when I got my own place and I was earning good money, it just was one of those things that I turned to bring me back down, because my missus at the time could see that I was spiralling, it was getting out of control, so I was having a cheeky little heroin pipe to bring me back down, and towards the end I was injecting it.
Yeah, it's a big escalation.
Don't do it. I was so sick. I drove to hospital, phoning them on the way because I felt like I was dying. My stomach was literally coming out of my mouth. By the time I got there, I was describing these like little stones, and they were like, "That's the inside of your stomach. Like you can't retch anymore." So they were giving me. I passed out. They gave me anti-sickness stuff. They had my car keys away from me. I fucking passed out in the reception. I was there for about 8 to 10 hours, face down, just in reception. Where they just left me. There's nothing we can do for him. I just leave him there, let him sleep it off. Yeah. And that's when I went, I need help. Yeah. Started then talking about the stuff that my ex was doing to me while I was off my face. I told you about, you know, butt plug. You know, that happened, and it's like, what the fuck is happening? But again, that was another spiral. I used that as an excuse to
justify your actions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I became an arsehole.
Yeah.
Yeah. I tried to go see a friend in Brighton, talk to him about what happened to me, and she'd found out, and instead of letting me go to Brighton to see my friend, it was all about her, all what she wanted, so I shut down, and I just got worse in that 6 months. Like I say, I just shut down, didn't see my family, I was hiding stuff, I was disappearing all the time, I didn't want to be around her, but also didn't want to be around anyone new. It was like crack, heroin, crack, crack, and that was it. Yeah, for like 6 months.
So you do your stints in prison, and you're going to get sober and clean at that time, and then I presume when you get out, you're like, I can dabble because I'm in control now. I've got a clean slate, I'm now in control, I'm not addicted, so I can do it once or twice, but obviously that's just you're justifying it to yourself, and it's going to take over again.
It did. So there's a bit I've forgotten to mention. So when I got out of prison on the 21st, I tried to take my life on the 24th. Took an overdose, found face down. Ambulance trying to stick things on my chest for me. Yeah, that's how bad it got. I left prison, didn't know where to go at 8 o'clock at night, had nowhere to walk to, and they gave me I think 120 quid, so I bought a load of crack, and someone said about some pills being somewhere, and I literally ate all the pills and smoked all the crack, and I woke up the next day and collapsed in my dad's doorway. I don't know how I got there, I don't remember how I got there.
How come you did that? Did you do that just because your life's a fucking mess at this point?
Yeah, I just knew it was a mess. The allegations that I put against me, at that time I hadn't gone and sat with people to work out how to get in contact with that person and actually start recording their bullshit, and we did in court eventually. Obviously I went to jail for 2 weeks for it because I breached the police order, whatever. But we had to do that. But at that time, she'd emptied my bank account, so she stole 550 quid, which I thought was money that I could move in somewhere or get a B&B. I had nothing. I literally left jail with 160 quid, 120 quid, sorry, and nowhere to go. Yeah, and my mate opened the door, passed me an 8 for crack, and told me there was loads of pills in his cupboard, so I fucking took the lot. Yeah. Just
your way to end it all.
Yeah, and I meant it that time. Yeah, I really wanted it to go. Yeah, I walked around for 4 days after with a noose. Used to be a tree surgeon, so I had some climbing rope. Had doctors on the phone giving me some amazingly strong tablets, whatever they were. I was a space cadet for God knows a week. I had to take one of these tiny little tablets, and I was a zombie. Couldn't add, like when you lay in bed, you get that conveyor belt of thought sometimes that overwhelms you. Just took all that away. Yeah, nothing for about a week. Yeah.
Then how come when you wanted to get sober, how come then at that point you was like, I want to now get sober? You've been spiralling for years, you've been in bad places, and why at this point?
So I've been quite successful, I think, twice throughout my life, getting to at least 6 months, 3 months on the odd occasion. But on the last sentence, I remembered that I made a joke about something with my pad mate, so I was going to go walk the UK. And after I'd got all this evidence together and done my fucking 12 days back in prison, I walked out and I said to the officer there and then, so I'm going to go and walk the UK. And he was like, of course you are. He goes, you'll be back. I made a joke about it because I'd just come back. And I told my probation officer, I told a few other people, my drug worker and stuff, I'm going to go walk the UK. And they said, when? I said, in 4 months. But in my head, when I was training to walk, it started because I was walking around with a noose. So in my head, I got quite emotional like last year when I was talking about it, because in my head I was going to kill myself, trying to find somewhere to kill myself. But at the same time, I wanted to tell a little person that I don't see about how beautiful England is, and about how my journey has spiralled up till now, and I'm going to train to walk the UK. I'm going to make it to Scotland. And training I did, yeah, and I didn't kill myself. I threw my noose off the Devil's Bridge in Appleby. In Skipton, I hit a ring that my ex had given me. And yeah, I started training seriously to walk the UK, and I didn't realise that I was actually in survival mode rather than fight mode rather than survival mode, because now I'd got a purpose, and I was walking 14 miles, shin splints, toenails falling off, and I was in a really bad way, smoking crack while still on the walk, drinking beer while still training, and then it became, oh my god, I'm actually going to do this. I did a mini sleep out, 72 hours over 3 days around Milton Keynes. That somebody sent me a challenge. Took some flapjacks, a mobile phone, no battery pack, and some cardboard and a backpack. That was it for 3 days.
Yeah.
So I had to go meet people, I had to go speak to people, had to get over my anxieties, but also I had to learn how to survive on my own with literally nothing, and I did. Yeah. And 2 months after that, I started walking the UK.
How long did that take you?
To walk it?
Yeah.
So I started from Aylesbury, which is near Milton Keynes, and then I got to Glasgow. It took me 33 days. On that walk, I'd slipped my disc. When I got to the Midlands, a place called Nuneaton, so we had to get some buses and trains, which I'm not gonna. Oh no, I don't care. It was amazing. I found myself. So I walked about 370 to 400 miles. Of that, 500 miles. Yeah,
it's impressive.
Yeah, I met my partner on that walk. So yeah, she's my world. Still with her now. We've got the most amazing family together. It's very serious. So much respect for this girl. So when I sat in the pub, avoid pubs, but they're the greatest place to get free water and battery pack recharge. She sat in there with somebody who she was dating at the time, turned out to be an absolute monster of a man. And I said, this feels like home. Next day I took on a date for a milkshake, and she said she'd never done this before, and she felt really uncomfortable, and she had a lot of anxiety, and we just hit it off. Every day we spoke to each other. She ended up becoming somebody who got me from place to place, as well as somebody else. She was like my oracle. I call her guru, but she wants to be called oracle. And they both got me to Scotland in one piece safely. And I said to her, would it be okay to come back and stay at yours? Because I had nowhere to go. I'm now homeless because I packed my bag, a huge backpack, an axe and a tent, and off I went. We fed the homeless on the way as well. We reached out because that's like one of my sides. I do a lot of, all these things are horrible. I've got a beautiful charity side for my family. So she said, yeah, you can stay at one. How many days? I said 3 days. So all I need, because we've got to go back to probation, remember? I've skipped probation, told them to fuck off. There's nothing they can do. There's no recall because I was in prison so short. They couldn't recall me. And it turns out that I couldn't walk for 4 months. I slipped my disc and I damaged it so bad that I literally laid at hers for 4 months. And no one could reach me because I couldn't get back to Aylesbury to get an outreach team to come see me, but they were saying I can't get housed in Birmingham because I'm not from here. So yeah, she put me up, and now she's my partner. So
what about your addictions at this point?
Gone.
Yeah, gone during your walk?
No, so on my walk I got to Derby, and a friend of mine met me and he brought an eighth with him, and I fucking hated him for that. Absolutely hated him. I sniffed it, did it with him, and I fucking hate him. We don't talk. You think he's in prison now himself, but yeah, I was like, you're a twat, like absolute twat. But he's like, it's like lads, we're trying to make it all funny. But did that first line. That was in the middle of a UK walk to find myself, to come clean and to do this thing, amazing story for this little human being that I'm going to struggle to see. And he thought that was acceptable, but hey, I've got to take responsibility. I fucking sniffed the eighth, you know what I mean? I didn't go, oh no. So how much can you give me?
Yeah. But so you got clean during that journey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had lapses. Yeah, I've had quite a few lapses on crack. Yeah, but that's it. Nothing to write home about. It was more about learning from each lapse to where I am now.
When was your last one?
Last lapse was just for I did a charity event, 104 mile run, I think it was. 7, 8 months ago. So it's quite a while.
What does your partner say about this?
She's so supportive. She came to mine, and I'd been avoiding her, and she knew something was up. So she came to mine, and I sat there with a crack pipe and washed up crack on the side, about 200 quid's worth. And she said, I'm not disappointed, I'm just ashamed that you didn't reach out. You didn't tell me that you were struggling. She said, I'm fucking disappointed. Walked out, and then I had to run 3 days later, 104 miles in 7 days with a slip disc. So that was my punishment. She was there with me every single day because I was struggling mentally in a dark place. It took over, Matt. It was horrible. It was the worst thing I've ever been since the UK walked to find myself. I was crying while running and got hit by a van. She was just like, I'm here for you. Like, just let me know. And I've not gone back since. So, yeah, it's a crazy to have that love, I suppose, or time. But she gave me a book like on avoidance and traumas, so we do it together. So she'll talk about some of her stuff she struggles with, and I'll sit and have a conversation with her about stuff I'm struggling with. But we use this book as our sort of icebreaker.
Yeah, the middle ground.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like. So you do know you've been avoiding me, and it could be from this and this and this. Oh, really? Let's have a look. And then conversation. Now later, I'm like, shit, that was a weird counselling session.
Yeah.
Because it's like that.
I suppose looking at it from the outside, when you've struggled in the past, you've turned to drugs.
Yeah.
Whereas she's showing you when you struggle, you can turn to her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or anyone just to talk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She says it's okay. No one's here to judge you. No one's pointing fingers. No one's saying you're a bad guy. Just need to be a bit more vocal.
Yeah. And honest about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. So obviously, as you said, you did outreach work with the homeless.
Yeah.
I know you're 107 miles, was it?
104.
Yeah, 104 miles. A lot of these challenges. But I just want to touch on something from the start because I think it's relevant.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're abused by these two lads, men.
Yeah.
And then throughout your adult life, whilst being addicted, the chaos and all the rest of it, you know right from wrong.
Yeah.
But you're still reaching out to these as if everything's right.
Yeah. From a young age, like I met a girl when I was, I'm going to say 15. She was raped. She was like 12. I bumped into her. She was crying. Took her under my wing. Took her to get some support. My nan and granddad have always been charity workers. My mum being disabled, being around that stuff. So I always knew right from wrong. Doing a 9-day sleep out while going to church, doing my Bible studies, then doing a sleep out for 9 days, 9 nights to raise awareness of homelessness because I just got off the streets and I've become quite wealthy through business again. Then I was sniffing a massive line. People then lost trust in me. Then I set up a soup kitchen. We didn't get any funding because they knew I was a drug user. So that crashed quite hard. Then, we're moving on, 12, 13 years, walking the UK, feeding the homeless throughout the whole of the UK. We raised, I think it's £580 in cash that we gave out while we're actually walking the UK, £470 through donations. And since being back, we obviously did the 104 mile run in 7 days, which should have been in 3, but slip disc held us back. Raised money for a local whole of the UK men's walking group. Now I set up my own support squad, so we are helping addicts, homeless people. Just 2 weeks ago, we raised £1,000 for a homeless guy to get him on his way. He lives in a teepee. Amazing setup. He's got 2-man tent, 4-man tent with a teepee around it, right? It's called the Camp Project. We see people that come in, like the other night I was up at 4 o'clock in the morning with someone who's in a really bad place. So I sit up with these people and I give them my time because I understand it. I've been there, and especially if you are talking about abuse or if you're talking about some sort of childhood traumas, I might not be a professional, but I can listen, I can understand, and I know when to shut off a conversation, and I know when to say, you need to ring 111, you need to ring these people, but they're coming through our group. And it's just so important. We're doing a sleep out in Leicester on the 20th of this month again. And then straight after that, I'm running 50 miles in a Mankini for 24 hours. And this is all to get the awareness for the support squad. I'm on the radio tonight and we're talking about we want support from people to push us to the next level. I've got t-shirts made, we've got a page set up, we've got a private group, we've got a WhatsApp group, we've got amazing members that wake up sometimes having a shit day, and we're all there for each other.
Yeah.
Because I've fucking been there. And to be alone not know who to talk to. I might want to talk to my missus, but you know what? You're a really lovely guy, and I can see genuinely that I might ring you up one day and say I'm having a really fucking hard time, and you might give me the best advice ever, or you might just calm a situation down.
Yeah.
And to have someone like that is powerful, because not everyone's got time for you. Not everyone's been through it.
Of course, yeah.
And I think that's the path that we're now on. It's you know, I'm out paddling at the moment on a lake. So obviously we're looking at doing 7 marathons in 7 days, kayaking to France and back. I'll be the only man in the UK to do it. And it's not to say, oh, how fucking fantastic, or look at who I am. Look at my journey. If I can do this, I can show other people that you can do that. So I want to be a motivational speaker. You know, out my comfort zone. I've got loads of anxiety. I can't imagine talking to a room of people about how I went from walking the UK to now training to do something so extreme that I could lose my life. But it's not about that. It's about discipline, comfort zones, finding who you are, self-worth, being around the right people, finding things that you can do and you are good at, and then pushing yourself to the max and saying, I fucking can wake up today. It's a new, fresh day, and today I'm going to do something better than yesterday. And that's my message to people on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, fucking powerful.
Yeah, it is. That's what I mean. I think opening up on conversations, do you know what I mean? Turning your life around, and people, like, do you know what I mean? People look at me like I got my business, I got a beautiful family, you know, go to the gym, I'm in decent nick, do you know what I mean? I'm quite out there a bit, but then, do you know what I mean? People like people might look at me and think I've never gone through anything, but I've been through it all, do you know what I mean? And I think it's powerful to show people that no matter where you come from, you can flip it around completely.
100%. There's a horrible side, isn't there? So people look in as a jealousy, look what he's got, but they don't see the hard work. Yeah. And that's what I went through last year after the 104 mile run, because I'd done the UK, and lots of people dislike me because of all the drug dealing, all the violence, or laughing about stuff that, you know, I've got away with or whatever. But they don't forget that that's who you were. And then they obviously stamped on stuff, and I did stuff on the BBC, or I was doing stuff on radio, and you know, I got 2 million views in, I think it was 14 months on one of my social media things. And then people were like, yeah, but do you know? And it's like, hang on, you haven't seen the fucking tears, the sweat, the effort, the discipline, that I'm putting in. Please, I say to people, please stop pushing the person you think you knew. You've got no access to me now. Leave me alone. So fucking fair play to you, mate.
Yeah.
Fair play to you.
I've been married twice, divorced twice.
Good.
Good.
You learned, right? You learned to listen the first time.
Clearly not. Married twice, divorced twice. You know, other people. I've never been a fucking saint. Never claimed to be a saint.
Yeah.
But you know, I do talk about these things, what I've done in the past. But I carry guilt from shame, embarrassment. And you know, I've hurt people and I feel bad for that. People who didn't deserve it. But what can I fucking do in reality? I can take responsibility like a man and throw my hands up, and that's all I can do.
So guilt and shame, I think, naturally comes with those things. I was asked this question last year by somebody who's never been in this world. How do you sleep at night? And I said, absolutely fine.
Yeah.
But it was the shame that there is. I was like, I want to go back to Wales, but I'm like, what if I see someone that I've done that to, or someone comes up to me going, oh, you bashed my brother, or you bashed my uncle, or I'm like, oh my God, that's what I see. Well,
yeah.
So the people that I bashed were either drug dealers, or there were people that tried to rob somebody or bash my brother or something. So I didn't go home going, oh no, I'm not going to sleep tonight.
Yeah. I mean, people.
They were dickheads, weren't they?
Yeah,
so,
we spoke about this earlier. If people are involved in that life, then stuff's going to happen to them.
So live by the sword, you die by the sword. That's exactly what I've got that put there, mate. Ready to fight, and if you bring it, I'm ready to fight. Yeah. Unfortunately, if you get, I hit one guy and he broke his hip, and he was coming up to being a professional footballer. So he was semi-pro at the time, and I hit him, unfortunately, and he fractured his hip, and he's no longer a footballer. But I never took an hour back and forth. I didn't know this incident was going on. And all of a sudden, mum had only been dead 2-3 months, and he said, go fuck your mum. I just hit him out, just not even thinking, bosh. And that was it. I ruined his career. I don't sit there and go, oh, that was a sad thing. I was like, that's really bad. Yeah, but situation. He was having a fight with my mate, and he came over to have a pop at me, and it was nothing to do with me.
Yeah, it's his own fault at the end of the day, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I gave the guy a hug, and I apologised to him. We ended up living next door to each other. How bad is that? And yeah, it's like 9 months of, oh my God, like shit, like that's how I sort of was feeling about it. I always put it, hello mate, how you doing?
Yeah.
Knowing that I'd ruined his career, but yeah, he's the one that came over drunk. I just pulled into a car park to pick my friend up who was having an argument with him. Yeah, and it just so happened I hit him. Well, never mind.
Yeah. That's all it is to you, but yeah.
To him, it ruined his whole life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he lost everything. Like, you know, shouldn't have got fucking gobbing, should he?
Yeah, that's what I mean, like, sometimes when you overthink stuff, and I don't overthink a lot, to be honest, I ain't got the patience for it, because I wind myself up. But like, we can make a 10-second decision, which means nothing to us in the grand scheme of things, but it can affect somebody for many, many, many years. Yeah. With you now, obviously, you're doing all these great things, you've got your plans.
Yeah.
What would you say to any men out there? Now, I'm going to ask this several times, but with different scenarios, because you've been through a lot.
Yeah.
What would you say to any men who have been a victim of child sexual abuse and they're keeping it quiet?
Don't keep it quiet. Like I say, so I kept it quiet for almost 20 years. And it's one of the most, when I look back at it, I think how damaging it was. You don't need to sit with that. It's not yours to sit with. Like, you can share it and take the load off. It's uncomfortable when you first talk about it. It took me a long time to be even glad just to say someone did this, or it was like a tiptoe around it. So go and speak to a professional, or go and speak to someone you really trust, because there's lots of people out there. Like, since I started talking about it, unbelievable amount of people who I know have gone, something similar happened to me, or one of my parents did it. I'm like, what? Like, oh my God, like, I'm not the only person. And you know, yeah, don't wear it. You don't need to. You can share that, because it eats you.
You think there's any shame in it? Because being a man as well.
I think when I grew up, a lot of shame, a lot of shame. Yeah, I felt like the bottom of the pile because of it. And now I don't see it as shame at all. I've got nothing to say negative about it. So only positive. It made who I am now.
Yeah, I think men have such embarrassment and shame about being a victim.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But in some way, shape or form, we're all victims. Whether you're a victim to drugs, addictions, sexual abuse, mental health, and none of us want to talk about it, but we're all our victims in some way, shape or form. You need to fucking own it.
When you look at statistics of how many men are taking their own lives, how many men are bottling stuff up, it's heartbreaking. They say there's a stigma, but there is, but at the same time we don't check on each other enough. A simple text message or just a simple hello, how are you, can just start a conversation. You don't have to sit in the pub to go and check on your mate. You can just send them a phone call, pop round their house. And we don't like contact. We ought to give each other a nudge or a handshake. I now hug people, and it's like something that after I've met somebody a few times, I'll give them a hug, and you see them pulling away, but then they're like, oh, it's just a nice thing, and it's that, oh, I'm okay to be vulnerable. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And I don't think there's anything wrong with being vulnerable. You know, you've got his man's man who wants to, but some way or another, he goes home and hugs his kids. He goes and gives his brother a hug. He just doesn't have to do it in public, maybe, but we are all able to do those things.
Yeah.
We're just trained to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, there's nothing I like better than lying in bed and on the little spoon to my missus. There's nothing better. Hold me tight.
We all want to be loved and hugged, man. It's human nature. Doesn't matter who it's with. You know, you just want to be loved and hugged. And if you haven't got a mum like me, my partner's the next best thing, and I love the hell out of her, and I like being the little spoon as well. She's like my tortoiseshell sometimes. She just literally latches onto my back.
Yeah, it's just what I need sometimes.
Yeah.
So next question.
Yeah.
What would you say to any men dealing with addiction, stuck in addiction?
So I give this advice all the time, probably weekly. Anyone that's going for addiction, make a plan. Day number 1 is going to be the hardest choice of your life. If you're around somebody, especially a partner that's also an addict, you've got to realistically think, is that relationship already falling apart because of your addiction? And if it is, start looking at why. If you come home and you're saying, I don't want to do it tonight, then she is doing it, you're bad for each other. You're going to have to make that decision of, I will move out to save myself, or she moves out to save your relationship, or whatever it has to be. But you can't be sat in that spiral, because you're not going to get clean together. And also your mental health. If you're waking up and your addiction's taken over, you're an active addiction going to work, but you're missing days, or you're not getting full days through, or you're turning up late and you're always getting fucking put down because you're the last in the van, you know, we've been waiting here 20 minutes. You need to go to a drug centre. You need to go and get some counselling. You know, if it's online, we're online all the time talking to people. We're not here necessarily to be able to pick you up in the morning and take you to work, help you with your funds and stuff. But it all comes together once you start making that plan on day number 1. But that is the hardest day. Facing facts, being true to yourself, telling yourself, no more bullshit today. I'm going to be honest with myself. Why am I in this position? What have I gone through? People at the beginning of addiction, when they're trying to solve it, will always go back to traumas. Oh, it's because this happened, that happened. When you get so far on, we don't blame our traumas. We just take responsibility for the things that didn't work out. So that's where I'm at now. I know some shit happened, but I'm not going to let that shit control what I do. And it does get easier once you start moving forward. If you can get to day number 1, then you make a plan of day number 10. You might have a lapse. Learn from that lapse. What triggered you? And then look at the triggers. Write them down or tell somebody. And then you're going to have to change your circle of friends. You might have to move out. So it's the environment. Change your beliefs. And there's so much. Like Ben, like you saw before, it's like an onion, and you've got to peel back to what's going to work for you. What tools I've got might not work for you necessarily, but you've got some tools that will help me. You might be further on down the line and say, oh, this didn't help for me. If you're having triggers here, this might help. So go and talk to people in NACA. They don't always work, and you're not always going to get on with everyone. So going to church, you're never going to be happy with the one that you're in, but you're there, so deal with it and take what you can, all the positives. But don't look back. Don't go, oh, that fucking didn't work for me, it's a load of bullshit. Find somewhere else. Find someone else. Keep going until you find what works for you. It took me over 10 years to find what worked for me. And now I'm sat like where I am now. I would never change that path that I've been down, because I am where I am now. It worked.
Yeah.
So just keep being persistent. Show up for yourself.
Yeah, you got one change.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the most important. You got one challenge. If you don't want it, then it's half-arsed.
Yeah, I mean, I went to jail back to back, and that was part of my saving grace, because it took me away from the environment. I couldn't go back to that environment because my ex and me were just using constantly. It was out of control. That was my downfall. Yeah. You know, not her fault, my downfall. You know, I'm not blaming her. Say, oh, take responsibility, own it, and say, I fucked up. How do I get out of this shit? See a path, go for it. That's it. You've got to change your job, change your job. Some people get paid so much money, they go, oh, it's because I earn 60 grand a year. Well, then go and earn 30 grand a year. You choose to get up and do that job that gives you 60 grand a year, but then you're blaming how much money you get and how much coke that you're sniffing and how much alcohol you can get, all because you've got so much money. And go get a shitter job. Do whatever it takes. That's what I say to people.
It is. If you're so serious about something, you want something so much, you do whatever it takes.
So I quit my job when I was so desperate. When I first got out of jail the second time, I went straight into forklift driving, and I wasn't with it, and I was a bit all over the place, and I literally went, I'm done, mate, I'm quitting. And I just picked up the crack pipe a few days before. Like, no, we'll give you some time off, don't worry about it, it's fine. I was like, no, I need to quit my job. And I had to, because otherwise I knew I was going to go back constantly, but like, I was like, I have to end this. Went and saw my nan and told her, she was like, that's what you need to do, love. Like old people do, you've got to keep your pecker up. But I needed to quit my job. Yeah, I knew I was losing everything. Well, what's the fucking damage? Hold on to a job that's paying my coke dealer, crack dealer. Fuck off.
Yeah. No, you're right. Right, last question. Everything you've gone through today, everything you know, can go back to a 12-year-old you. Think where you was when you was 12. What would you say to yourself?
Be careful. Enjoy the festivals, being a free soul, but don't go down the path that I had done. Enjoy the music, the rhythm, the rhyme. Enjoy the carnivals, but don't need to take drugs. You don't need to drink to have a good time. Go with the crowd, not with the other part of the the party, I suppose. Things are going to go wrong in life. Hold on to the little things. The little things are important. Like losing a business was a big thing to me. I took it personally. But what I didn't do is learn from that and then go, oh, actually, where did I go wrong, and rebuild it? So yeah, that for me is the little things. Look out for the little things, because the big things don't count. Yeah.
Perfect. Right, mate. Anything else to finish on?
No.
Done?
Yeah.
Thank you very much, mate. Thank you very much. I do appreciate you coming here today.
It's all right.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to From Rock Bottom. If this episode spoke to you, please subscribe, like and share. It really helps us keep doing this work and bringing these stories to light. You can also follow us on social media for updates, behind the scenes content and ways to get involved in the conversation. Most importantly, if you're struggling right now, please don't suffer in silence. Reach out, talk to someone, seek support. You are not alone, and you are absolutely worth life. Take care, keep fighting, and we'll see you in the next episode.